That's all I say. White power.
Where are you from?
I'm from Milwaukee.
Why is your face covered?
That's right. Protection of our jobs. Discrimination against the white race. We know it.
Are you worried that so many of the people have turned out against you?
Excuse me?
Are you worried that so many of these people have turned out against you?
Nothing worries us.
Jerry.
You're very lovely.
Hurry up! Get him up here!
Our flag is still there.
What mill you white knight? Get up here!
White power.
These cops are gonna let him right through here now. See here? Get up here!
Peterson, is that you?
How you
That's
doing?
it. So is this your house, Ken?
Yes, it is.
So has everything turned out to your satisfaction so far?
Well, so far, we've not looked for a violent confrontation, but you see who the animals are and who's inciting to riot. We're here for a peaceful rally and a program of white unity between different organizations. You see who's coming on us.
I noticed quite a few of your colleagues have bats and bars and tire irons, and I see you yourself have a shield and a heavy flashlight.
Well, we're going to protect ourselves. This is our home. These are all my friends that have gathered here. We have a right to be here. These people are inciting to riot. These people are starting the problem. There was no problem until they come down the street.
How many of your colleagues have turned out today?
We have roughly around 100.
And tell me, where have they come from? What groups and from where?
Well, there are different groups here, the Northwest Territorial Knights, our organization, the National Knights, SS of America, White Cause, Dennis Mahon's organization, WAR, the White Knights, and other organizations.
Do you think this will end in violence?
Well, I hope it doesn't. We'll have to see.
Will you go?
We will protect ourselves.
Will you go ahead with that cross-running?
Yes, we will.
Who was arrested and why? The fellow in the this gray uniform.
Okay, that was Art Jones, America's First Committee. I have no idea why he was arrested. I can't see what he did. We have no idea as yet.
Do you know your...
I'm not talking to you because you're part Jew and part Spick, and that doesn't really count. You're a piece of shit. Your welcome's about out. You better get out of here.
Or what?
For that.
Having finally lived down the infamous skinhead studio brawl of 4 years ago, the last thing I wanted was another violent confrontation. My assailant had other plans. He interrupted my reporting, insulted my race and religion, then physically assaulted me. What would you have done in my shoes? Stay with us. Before we get to my run-in with the hate mongers, I'd like you to take a look at this video of recent unrest in Germany. In the nation which half a century ago hosted the rise of Hitler and the horrors of the Holocaust, marauding bands of neo-Nazis have once more taken to the streets. Now, their orgy of violence is directed at immigrants and other non-Germans that these Aryan supremacists apparently consider inferior. Membership in these skinhead groups has already reached 40,000 in Germany. Hopefully, the German people will prevent this cancer from spreading any further. In our country, the number of hardcore haters is smaller. According to the organizations which monitor these groups, there are about 3,500 neo-Nazis, 6,000 Klansmen, and about 1,000 white supremacists who are concentrated mostly in the Pacific Northwest. The white supremacists are. Their numbers, so, are relatively small, but their message is just as frightening, just as revolting as the message coming from their comrades in Germany. So here now, my personal war. First, some facts about the man whose hatred of me and my roots drove him to distraction and violence. John McLaughlin is a member of the America First Committee. It's a neo-Nazi group whose real goal is a nation ethnically cleansed of blacks, Jews, Hispanics, gays, and other minorities. Back in 1990 in Illinois, McLaughlin was arrested, but never indicted, after shooting a black man in the back of the leg during an altercation. His Nazi association was unknown then, so McLaughlin was able to convince a grand jury that it was all in self-defense. In Janesville, many of his cronies armed with tire irons or baseball bats, McLaughlin was looking for trouble. He led his thugs against neighbors opposed to their presence. Now he lay in wait for me.
I have no idea why he was arrested. I can't see what he did. We have no idea as yet.
Do you know you're,
I'm not talking to you because you're part Jew and part Spick, and that doesn't really count. You're a piece of Your welcome's about out. You better get out of here.
or what?
For that.
Encumbered by police officers who pinned my arms, I was unable to stop McLaughlin from biting my thumb and scratching my face. On the other hand, I at least made him feel some discomfort. But for me, the biggest blow was still to fall.
You're going to go down to the ground. All right, easy, easy. Don't, nothing dramatic. Nothing dramatic. Just let go.
Bring him in the hole.
Just let go. Thank you. Just let go, guys. Let go. Come on. Come on, just let go, you guys. Come on, man. Don't be stupid.
No.
Don't be stupid, man. Don't, you're going to hurt my arm, man. Take it easy.
This is all a big mistake, I thought, but was too stunned to say aloud as the officers led me to a waiting patrol car. Sweat and blood dripping down my face, I was too shocked to even acknowledge the townspeople who were shouting, "Let Geraldo go." My plan to cover this unprecedented Heartland hate summit had gone terribly awry. I had become part of the story, and I was under arrest. McLaughlin was also arrested and charged with disorderly conduct. As far as that earlier arrest on Cherry Street, we later discovered his commander, America First Committee leader Art Jones, had been charged with battery.
Let Geraldo go. 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 Let Geraldo go.
After I was taken away, the organizer of the anti-Klan rally, local civil rights leader James Yarborough, attempted and ultimately succeeded in convincing his followers to break up their demonstration.
Let's go. That's enough. We made our stand. We made our point. Let's go. That's all. They're going to be here. They're going to be here.
Get rid of him.
They're going to be here. We're not going to get rid of it again. We're not going to get rid of it. We're not going to get rid of it. You can't do it all in a day. You can't win the battle in a day. You can't win the battle in a day. Let's go. Come on, let's go.
And instead found myself behind bars. My plan to cover this unprecedented Heartland hate summit of Ku Klux Klansmen, neo-Nazis, and skinheads had gone terribly awry. A professional nightmare had come true. I had become part of the story, and I was under arrest. I was charged with battery, a misdemeanor, and held in jail for 4 hours. Back at the rally, the white supremacists and the anti-Klan demonstrators remained at a standstill.
As long as there's Klansmen in this town, we have to drive them out. But we also have to go out and build in our communities and in our schools a bigger movement so that these kinds of confrontations happen and we outnumber them 5 to 1, 10 to 1, and 20 to 1.
Okay. What?
go back now. You done made your point. No. Yes. You're not going to gain anything here now.
Let them go.
Black, white, united, white, let's not become. Black, white, united, white, let's not become.
In an ironic twist, my brawl with the neo-Nazis seemed to drain most of the afternoon's most violent passions. Neither side wanted more violence, and both gradually dispersed, both claiming victory.
Well, let's bring people in the back.
We'll be back, 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 we'll be back.
We had 50 of our security people ready to fight. And that was, we showed willpower, and they left. We held the road. We kept our cars from getting vandalized. We kept the crowd at bay. I think it was expert control of our skinheads, security force, and our plant security force that kept this thing from getting out of hand. They left. We're still here.
As the confrontation gradually diffused, it gave pause for reflection. What was truly in the minds of these white supremacists? What drove their hate? We asked with some answer.
I personally don't like the black people in general. There's some very good. I have had friends, but I don't want to live with them. I mean, I hate to say that. I know it maybe embarrasses them, but we have to say what needs to be said. We have to do what needs to be done. And in my opinion, we need to separate the races. We need to give the black people their own country. I mean, we should have sent them back to Africa a long time ago and maybe paid their way and sent them up again. But, well, it's getting very late now. But in my opinion, we have to do something like that because we are different people. We think and behave differently. They are people from the jungle and we are people from Europe, and there's nothing wrong with that.
The supremacists took up a collection to bail out their comrades.
You guys held your ground. We found out who was strong and who was weak.
Yeah.
We found out who was strong and who was weak.
Bail fund for damn sure.
2 or 3 now.
Let's get these boys back out here.
Rough times where we found it, guys.
Creators are always good for a few bucks.
Sorry.
Well, we're going to get a couple hundred here at least.
Hey,
Tell you what, find out how much the bail is.
It was in there.
Okay, thanks.
Back at the jail, my team did the same.
I've got 200. We need 3 more. More. All right, so 3, 4. All right, Bobby, that'll. All right, this makes 5. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. That's 5.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just shut the window.
Okay, sure.
Very cool.
Okay. See if we'll happy roll this.
Watch it. Watch my back. Hey, boss.
Well, I've been arrested and charged with battery. I think it's ridiculous.
Personally subdued by the fact that events in Janesville had already gotten out of control, and that I was charged with a crime for doing what I still believe most others would have done in my place. I attempted to put the day's focus back on the event we had come to Janesville to cover, this extraordinary gathering of hate groups here in the Heartland.
I'd rather not. I've been charged with battery, and I don't want to say anything silly right now. All I can say is I think I was arrested because I was on top. But, I'm sorry it came to this, that's all.
What are you going to do now?
Well, we have a news event to cover. We're going to go back to our job being reporters.
Indeed, my plan was to finish the story I'd come to Janesville to report. Ku Klux Klan leader Ken Peterson had organized one of the most effective hate summits in the last decade. My job was to find out how and why. We've come back here to Ken Peterson's house. Peterson, of course, is the local host, KKK official who has convened what is an extraordinary gathering of hate groups from the area, from the region, indeed from around the country. Why they are all here together, why they have put aside their well-documented differences for this mutual meeting is something I intend to find out. Their plan is, now that darkness has fallen here in Janesville, to burn a cross, or light a cross, as the as the Klan members are fond of saying. It's kind of a distinction without a difference. So we'll go in, we'll take up the story where we were so rudely interrupted earlier. Ken, first of all, how did you get the various groups to put aside their well-documented differences all to come to your house on this day in Janesville, Wisconsin, of all places?
Well, this is a unity meeting, and this is what we're promoting throughout the country, is all organizations work together and not against each other.
What about the fact that the Nazis, for example, are irreligious or non-religious, and the Klan professes to be Christian, all that sort of stuff?
Well, it all comes down to white power. We're fighting for white people's rights, and we all have to band together and work together as a unit.
Now, what motivated you to get involved in this?
We're against a lot of things, such as drugs, crime in the streets, many things that most of America will agree with.
You know, you are the imperial wizard of the national KKK, isn't it?
Yes, I am.
Now, one of the things I've heard KKK members complain of, for example, is the fact that so many black people are on welfare. Isn't it a fact, Ken, that you're on welfare?
No, I'm not. I'm on Social Security disability.
You don't have a job?
No, I do not.
You spend full time doing this?
Yes, I do.
Do you use your Social Security benefits to organize hate groups?
No, I do not.
How do you afford that, then?
We only work on contributions.
And the contributions come from?
Membership and supporters, which is growing throughout the country.
How many members do you?
We never talk membership.
Are you pleased with the attention you have received?
Well, of course, we're pleased with the press coverage we've received. It does help our organization grow, and the movement is definitely growing throughout the country.
You don't have a feeling that you're involved in something that is promoting hatred and division and making violent incidents of the sort we saw just a bit earlier today inevitable?
Well, I'm sure there will be violent incidences. You see who the aggressors were. It was not our organization. It was, we've canceled 2 rallies in the city of Janesville to try to stem violence. This is our property here, and they came to us.
Don't you have better things to do, though? Like to help your family, to live a peaceful life, to try and do something to help yourself?
Well, I think we're doing a very good job. I have many goals, and one of those goals is to help all white people.
Do you have children?
Yes, I do.
And how old are they?
I have children ranging from the age of 10 to 19.
Do you want them to grow up to be racist?
Definitely so. Let me ask you, if you're white and racist, white and proud, are you a racist? Your audience will say yes. But if you're black, proud, and they will say that they're non-racist.
Oh, I think you're putting words in my audience's mouth. The Klan's acts of violence, the lynchings, the really bizarre acts, the antisocial acts, your allies here, the neo-Nazis and the skinheads, and the bank robberies and the homicides. Are you part of that, Ken?
No, I'm not.
And yet you stand with them today?
Yes, I did. We are promoting white unity between all the organizations throughout
regardless
the country.
of how hateful they are?
Well, we prefer that there is no violence used, and we do not want to see violence. We'd like to see political change, but we wonder if that's ever going to happen.
Look behind you, at some of your family. Look behind you at some of your colleagues again. Good, just take a look. Take a look back at the masked desperados and the cone head wearing.
Well, they have to. They have to hide their faces because they're going to lose their jobs. They're going to be threatened in their homes. Let me
say something. My imperial chaplain got fired out of a job over in Cincinnati, Ohio, just a few months ago because he belonged to the KKK. I've got a document paper in my van right now that I can prove the reason he got fired because he belonged to the KKK. Now, if he belonged to the NAACP or any communist front group, they wouldn't have fired him.
Isn't it a fact, Ken, that you or people associated with you shot up a black family's house not too long ago around here?
Definitely not. Our membership was fired upon. We've been fired upon out of the trees right up along the ridge here.
Who fired on the Towel home?
Excuse me?
Who fired on the Towle home?
I believe the Tolles home was fired on by himself or some of his allies to make the Klan look bad.
And there are witnesses to cars driving away. All that is, you believe, a manufactured effort?
It was not our organization, and I do believe it was a manufactured effort. Yes, I do.
Do you feel that act of violence was disgraceful and should be condemned?
Well, we don't promote any act of violence. If we are attacked, we will definitely defend ourselves. But we are not out to do harm to anyone.
And how do you react to that poor family's fear, the intimidation they say they have felt at your hands, the fact that they believe that you, sir, are a terrorist?
Well, I think that's kind of funny because I'm not a terrorist and I do not promote intimidating anyone.
Not their 12-year-old daughter in school?
Not at all.
And you condemn that? Do you,
well,
do you sit,
yes,
as you
I
sit
do.
there, do
yes,
you say that
yes,
you
I
condemn
do.
that? You
I condemn
that?
violence and I condemn intimidation on anyone.
But you hate black people?
I did not say I hate black people. You're putting words into my mouth.
Then why did you drive by my house and say, nigger lover?
Which just happened last night.
Last night.
Come in here. What happened?
He drove by my house and said, nigger lover.
Tell us who you are, first of all.
I'm used to go out with his brother, and I have a grandson that's half black, half white. He drove by his skinheads, come by my house and said, nigger lover.
Don't point at me.
She's got a manzer, that's what it is.
Pardon me?
You've got a manzer.
Stay away from my house and quit calling my grandson.
What do you think of?
Go have another
I don't
beer.
think nothing
This
of
man
him.
as a neighbor.
There's no
He
pride.
ain't my neighbor.
This guy has no pride in life itself, as far as I can see, because everybody has the right to live. And he has no business, black or white, he has no business uniforming saying white is better than black, because black is just as equal to Hispanic.
How do you feel about the fact that a cross will be burned here in your neighborhood?
That's just, a cross to me is a piece of wood that burns. You know, if people take it for a meaning, then they're, you know, what does that mean? That means nothing. Then they're bowing down to them. It's just a piece of wood that burns flames.
It's
Big
a
deal.
religious symbol.
How do you feel about the fact that a cross will be burned here?
On a Sunday, being a religious symbol, I think it's against God, personally. So how can you say you're for God?
And you better go put all the lights out on these churches that got all the crosses illuminated, because that's all it is, illumination.
Putting lights on it and starting it on fire.
So you don't know nothing about St. Patrick's Day then, when they lit all the crosses on the hills.
We'll stand by here. It's obvious that many of the hate group members have left this particular scene. I don't know, what do you got, about 20, 25 left here?
Probably 20, 25, yes.
All right, so we'll stay here throughout the duration of this cross burning or cross lighting, as they like to say, and report to you further developments. So we'll be right back. Doug Seymour is a familiar face. He was an undercover infiltrator of various Klan groups out, particularly on the West Coast. He risked his life many times. He's been at war with these groups for many, many years. It's a testament to his courage that he persists in this battle. Doug, first of all, what is the significance of this gathering? People ask me why we are here, why this is news. Why don't you explain? What's the significance?
Well, I would say that perhaps this is the most significant movement that we've seen within the attempts to bring together and cohese wide wildcat-type factions of the Klan, and probably one of the most successful that I've seen since perhaps 1983 Cagle Canyon, Los Angeles, California.
Where shootings and bank robberies and everything else were carried out.
Well, as a result of that cross burning in Cagle Canyon, Allenberg was assassinated. The $4.1 million, I believe, was stolen from armored car robberies, and not to speak of State Trooper Linger and other people that were killed in the fallout from that.
Can this be characterized, or certainly the event earlier today before many of these hate group members left, can this be characterized as a summit meeting of hate groups?
No question. This was a summit meeting and probably one of the most successful, like I say, since maybe almost a decade. You now have a national leader. Over the last few years, the national leaders of the Imperial Wizards have fallen: David Duke, Bill Wilkerson, Tom Metzger. This is a Tom Metzger-sanctioned ordination, and what we now have is another young, fresh start imperial wizard for the United States, and it spells an awful lot of trouble for the state of Wisconsin, the people of Janesville. It's just the beginning.
Tell us the groups who are or have been represented here today.
Well, I came up, and Mr. Peterson has confirmed for me that they had 13 separate Klan factions. I concur with that. It had representation from 11 states. The significance of that is that nobody but perhaps Metzger has been able to accomplish that in the last 10 years.
You think Metzger's the puppet master behind this?
Well, there isn't any question. Metzger sanctioned this. Dennis Mahon was here, which is his organizer, and has left. And it would take somebody like him to grant this type of power.
In your opinion, does a summit meeting like this, 13 factions, 11 states, does this, for the rest of us, signify, an explosion in hate crimes? Will what we see here today, will the end result, the bottom line, be more hate crimes?
No question. The resurgence of the white supremacy movement has taken its recruitment to the Midwest, where we have a lot of people that are unemployed. It's a recessionary time. We have McGee, who that they firmly believe in Milwaukee will fulfill his prophecy that if he's not elected to office, he will declare war. They're well armed. They know that. This is by far much more militant type group than we've seen with, say, Tom Robb, which is a typical Christian identity type movement. All Klan, but definitely much more violent prone.
So we should be alarmed that they've put their differences aside.
Yes, I think it's significant, and I think that the nation should take a look, especially the Midwest and the state of Wisconsin. The recruitment already has begun in 5 cities in the state of Wisconsin alone.
In good old liberal Wisconsin.
Good old liberal Wisconsin. God's country's in trouble.
We'll be right back. Thanks, Tom. The Heartland Hate Summit continues. Stay tuned.
For transcripts, please send $5 to Geraldo Transcripts, care of Burrell's, P.O. Box 7, Livingston, New Jersey.